Well, hello everybody. Okay, today we are going to have some fun, I hope, even though it looks pretty challenging, all those figures, all those numbers and colors. We have landed on our first day as a data researcher. We are taking on the tasks that the former database administrator left for us. And here we are, okay. So, it's, as you can see, we have the company data, we have the address of the company, the annual turnover, how much, what the marketing budget is, when the sale took place, who the customer was, how much money that customer earns a year, the gender, age. Again, now we have the customer address, the item they purchased, the description, there was serial number, who sold that, okay, who the provider or the maker, not the maker of the item is, the address of the provider, the price, of course, and how many items they purchase. So, don't you love it with all those colors? Isn't it nice? Oh my God, it's so sexy. So it's pretty clear, every time there is a sale, what the database administrator needs to do is just write one more row. That's wonderful. What's the problem? Well, kind of, because, for every single time that she is adding one new row, there are a lot of repeating groups of information everywhere, right? Why would you have to write twice the name of the company, the address, the turnover, if we have already made it that? That's quite painful. But, of course, if all you have to do is write it down, then that's fine. If you ever need to use it, then that's another thing. In fact, this was being used. I'm not making it up, okay? I have a lot of experience in many British companies that resist about the same thing. I also used to work in another place where there were two business development managers. They were really people, and they were great on the phone, really. Whenever they make a call, they always made a customer. So they were sort of finding customers to deliver the products to the door, right? The problem is that by the third week, they had so many customers they couldn't handle them. They didn't know what products they had to send to someone else, or then the customers will be ringing, what is my product, or, oh, I got someone else's product. It was really chaotic. Well, they had schemes similar to that. You can make it as colorful as you want, but it's going to be a real chaos whenever you need to update, delete, obtain or modify or delete, any data, right? So this needs to be approached in a completely different way. Okay. Of course, I cannot give a tutorial, not even in 1 hour or 5 hours. It really takes months on the databases approach. But first thing you need to do is to normalize the data, sort of decomposing all of that, what we are seeing, into tables to produce smaller and well-structured relations, okay, in order to avoid update, insert, delete anomalies, right? Prevent data duplication, avoid inconsistencies in the database, and prevent, of course, information loss. Because maybe sometimes if you want to delete an address according to that, you might be deleting data linked to it. If you are, what are you going to do if you need to delete something in there? You're going to leave blank spaces? Are you going to delete the full row? That's a complete mess, right? However, that's pretty much the case all over. Anyway, so there are different levels of normalization, even up to 6. But the first thing is to arrange the information at a table where each cell contains no repeating groups of information, right? Okay, establish the functional dependencies. Build a second normal form. bill and third normal form, while they're voice code, blah, 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 blah. If you are very much interested into it, I can recommend to you the book that I used to, I studied from when I was in Harvard studying databases and that database design and development. So it's, I think it's one of the most expensive books around for modern editions, right? And I'm not talking about antiques or anything like that. About $2,000. That's not bad. All right. So what are we gonna do after all this freaking mess? First thing we want to do, like I said, that's all we need to do. Okay. Compare this kind of 16 columns, and well, it can go up to thousands and thousands of rows. The problem is that you'll never be able to provide an answer if they ever ask you something about that. People use pivot tables, but pivot tables, they never fix the underlying problem, which is the chaos in the relationships. Okay, they are trying to figure out if you indicate which columns you want to work with, they're going to try to do their best with that, but that's absolutely restricted in their performance. So you really, really need to do away with these kind of practices. So first things, like I said, you're going to organize that. That's all I need. Identify what entities they have, what attributes, what are the relationships between those entities and those attributes, whether it's a one-to-one, it's a one-to-many, it's a many-to-many. If I have many-to-many, I'm going to need another associated table to make it up for duplications, etc., etc., etc. Okay, like I said, it's quite a whole task to talk about that. So we're not going to do that. All right. So once I have organized this into something I can really understand, I come over to, well, those are my tables, and I can even do, that's it. I'm going to show you some queries that I had just prepared for that, and let's see, kind of easy queries. First ones are pretty easy, but let's see. Oh yeah, hold on a second. I have misspelled the customers, the name of the company. The name of the table, which should be in plural. The reason, well, it should be. The reason I write them in plural, it's because after I do this in the once I have built the database, I take it to the web and I build forms with which the user can interact, okay? And those forms are going to be in a framework, and this framework, which I use Laravel, by convention uses plural names for tables. So I always like to prepare that, and I think there is another company's ID, customers, sales, items, ID, customers, company, sorry, 1 second. As you can see, companies, item description, take sales, customers, sales, ID, customers. Well, if there is a mistake, it will tell me. That's it. Okay. So we have now, we have just asked, please give me the name of the customer, the name of the company, what product was sold, and the date. Pretty easy. But if you try to answer that by looking at this, you're going to go through a real nightmare. Now, show me the best 5 buying customers and order them by the total expenditure. That begins to get a little bit more interesting in the sense that now you imagine you wanted to do that. So you will have to go and identify Mary Jones, try to find how many times she appears down the column, note what she bought, and add it up, and well, complete nightmare. However, if you do this, I think these standard tables are correctly named in plural. So we're going to go for another ones. Right. That's it. Hooper is just a name that I made up. Isabel Dua, she has spent a total of 1,600 in her purchases. Why would we want to know that? Of course, that's very interesting. We need to know who the best customers are. Maybe we want to provide them, with a special offer, or, well, send a Christmas greeting. Is that correct, really? We could verify that very easily by just going to first identify what the ID of Isabel Dua is. So we should go to customers. Isabel Dua, she has an ID of 5, right? That's it. And then we go to the items, right? And then we find, no, not to the items, sorry, to the sales. We go to sales, we identify, we find what the fine is. This, of course, this is what I'm doing here is proving to you that whatever was made in the query is actually a correct result. So actually you will go and find how many 5s are here, which are the IDs of Isabel. We got 1 5 in here, and we got an item which is called ID, whose ID is 5. Then we'll go down the column again. We go down the column again. We have another one, and then we have item number 17. And then if you go to items, and then you go and look for item ID 5 and item ID 17, if I haven't missed anything, other 1, 2, 5. There's 1 5 in here. It's just 2 5s, okay? And that's number 5 and number 17. So we go to items, and I find number 5. Number 5 cost 400, right? And number 17, it's a sofa. It costs 1,200. So 1,200 and 400 makes 600. And the query that we just made, saw it exactly that. So that's correct. And now, select the 5 most successful companies and the ratio of expenditure on marketing compared to the turnover. Order them by their total sales and correlate with their ratio to see if it makes any difference. And this is going to be interesting, right? I just do that. Yeah. Of course, all of these queries, you don't have to be copy and pasted them. You just save them and you click next time, okay? So that's the way it works. But very well, there we go. So as we can see, what can we just on looking into it, we can say that the most successful company, the one that has sold more, is Smith & Brothers Incorporated, 3,000, whatever. The ratio, however, between the marketing expenditure and the turnover is 5, which is less than another company who was spending 8. Then if you want to figure out whether that's statistically significant, then you will approach that from the statistic point of view. You might want to go to a chi-square approach or anything like that. So that's how you do it. Okay, once you have the data well structured, then you can begin to understand the world. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And see, I have many more videos for other things like how it's a website that I've done precisely about business intelligence, deploying statistical charts or stuff like that. I have another video where I translate on the fly from 10 languages into Spanish, which is my mother tongue, and some other more nifty things. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and see you next.